The shopkeeper greets Takaroo warmly as he steps inside. When he asks if she sells gathering scissors, she shakes her head. Introducing herself as Ruhigh, she explains that she can have a custom pair made for him instead. Her master, Grollas, is a highly skilled blacksmith, but good craftsmanship comes at a price. Curious, Takaroo asks to meet him, so Ruhigh leads him deeper into the workshop. Inside, several blacksmiths are hammering steel, and Ruhigh proudly says their passion is what drives her to improve. Soon, they reach Grollas' room. The dwarf initially questions who Takaroo is, but once Ruhigh mentions that he's the well-known gatherer people have been talking about around town, Grollas becomes interested. Ruhigh brings up the idea of having Takaroo gather a rare material called Idra ore for a special blade they hope to create for an upcoming sword tournament. Takaroo is unfamiliar with the ore, and Grollas is immediately against the idea. He refuses to send anyone, especially a young man like Takaroo, into the dangerous Ruhigh Mines, which are known to be overrun by demons. Ruhigh pushes the issue, but Grollas scolds her, saying that treating people's lives lightly means she'll never become a true blacksmith. He appreciates her determination, but he stands firm. Just as Ruhigh gives up, Takaroo steps forward and offers to retrieve the ore, if they agree to forge the gathering scissors he needs. To prove he can handle himself, he pulls out the claw of a B-rank monster crab he defeated. Grollas is stunned. Hearing that monsters are no problem for him, Grollas agrees to the deal. Later, Takaroo rides toward the mines with B, who is still dreaming about eating more crab meat. Other passengers whisper about the strange incidents surrounding the mines. After arriving, Takaroo spots a stable and thinks how nice it would be to have his own mount. Soon, he hears a familiar voice. The elf he previously met is arguing with a merchant over a large, fluffy bird she claims is not a horse. The merchant insists that any animal you can ride counts as a horse here. The elf eventually calms down, and he suggests she could find real horses near the dwarf kingdom. Since she is headed in the same direction, Takaroo prepares to gather materials with B. In the forest, he collects moonlight grass and decides the trip is worthwhile. Then he hears a loud rumble and finds the elf collapsed from hunger again. He shares food and water, wondering why she always ends up in such sorry condition. As she stands, Takaroo catches a whiff of her odor and quickly casts a cleaning spell. She is stunned, then delighted to finally feel clean. Takaroo admits he just didn't want to ruin his image of elves as graceful and pure. She introduces herself as Vel Brolite, though the full name is too long for him, so he simply calls her Brolite. She insists on repaying him, even when he tries to brush it off. B is also happy to have a new companion, so Takaroo eventually accepts her company. As Takaroo resumes gathering, B and Brolite eagerly bring him what they believe are valuable monster droppings, only for him to explain they are just ordinary rocks. He realizes Brolite may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. Later, as the sun begins to set, Brolite mentions building a campfire. Takaroo says he has magic stones, but she explains that leaving campfire traces helps other adventurers know the area is safe. She then hauls back a massive log, throws it in the air, and slices it neatly to pieces with her daggers. When Brolite lands gracefully back on the ground, Takaroo is amazed by her raw strength and decides to inspect her daggers. He's stunned to discover that the blades are actually ranked artifacts, something extremely valuable. This makes him realize that Brolite must come from a prestigious elven family. Later, Takaroo cooks dinner using the firewood she gathered. As soon as Brolite tastes the food, her eyes light up and she compliments his cooking over and over again. To Takaroo, her reaction seems a bit dramatic, especially as she tries speaking with her mouth full, so he gently reminds her to swallow before talking. While eating, she asks if he's headed to the mines. He says yes and asks about her plans. Brolite explains she's searching for a rare white Pegasus as a gift for her younger sister, Ludicara. Then she suddenly realizes he has fed her yet again without asking for anything in return. So Takaroo suggests something. She could be his bodyguard. She asks what the job involves, and he explains he just wants to learn basic survival skills from her. Brolite wonders if that's truly all he wants, but he simply nods. Believing fate brought them together twice, she agrees to work as his bodyguard. However, Takaroo soon regrets the decision. Just half an hour later, Brolite and Bee are snoring so loudly that he can't sleep. The next morning, Brolite leads Takaroo to a bridge that crosses into the Dwarf Kingdom. Once inside the Dwarven city, the first thing they do is look for food. They pick a restaurant where the waitress proudly serves them freshly cooked meat rolls. Takaroo enjoys the taste, and Brolite says the food is just as good as her friend once recommended. This makes Takaroo curious, so she tells him her friend is a lizard man. Thinking of his own lizardman friend, Klay, he says he knows one too. Brolite proudly mentions that her friend received the prestigious title of Holy Dragon Knight from the Stalfa Empire. Realizing they must be talking about the same person, Takaroo is shocked when Klay suddenly speaks from the table beside them. Klay complains that Takaroo left town without saying goodbye. Takaroo claims he told the guild, but Klay calls him out for neglecting to tell him personally. When Klay learns that Takaroo is planning to enter the dangerous Ruhigh Mines, he's surprised that a low-ranked adventurer would attempt such a risky task. Takaroo says it's worth the risk if he can get a pair of high-quality scissors from a master blacksmith. Klay is dumbfounded by how modest his goal is, but eventually he decides to join them. Brolite excitedly asks Klay if he plans to become Takaroo's second bodyguard. Once Klay hears that Brolite is already filling the role, he agrees to be her partner on the journey. The odd trio locks hands in celebration, while Takaroo silently wonders why he keeps making decisions he'll probably regret. The group sets out for the Dwarven Kingdom the following day. When the border guard sees Klay, he immediately grants them entry, surprising Takaroo and Brolite. Klay explains that he has an influential friend here, and the guard leads them down a long staircase. When they reach the bottom, the group is stunned to see a massive city built entirely underground. The guard then informs Klay that the Dwarf King has been searching for him. This shocks Takaroo, since Klay always acts like he has no connection to dwarves. But the guard explains that Klay is actually considered a hero in the Dwarven Kingdom. Long ago, an evil demon ruled over the dwarves. When Klay passed through, the demon was so terrified of him that it ran away, which caused the dwarves to praise Klay as their savior. Soon, they enter the royal palace. Klay casually scolds the king for being overly formal, and Brolite notices how close the two seem. Takaroo steps forward to introduce himself, but the king tells him to speak freely. So, Takaroo presents a letter of recommendation from Grallas and requests permission to explore the Ruhigh Mines. The king warns them the mines have become dangerous due to recent demon activity, but Takaroo insists he is prepared. Klay promises to protect him, and Brolite also declares that she will guard him with her strength. With their assurance, the king approves the request, and even asks them to investigate the cause of the demonic presence. Despite not wanting to take on extra tasks, Takaroo gets dragged into the mission. They soon arrive at the entrance to the mines, where the Dwarven Guild guide, Zambo, greets them. He leads them inside. Once the gate is opened, Brolite comments on how dark it is, so Takaroo uses a light spell to brighten the tunnel. He then copies the map Zambo gave him, surprising everyone with his skill. Hoping to find valuable ore, Takaroo activates his search ability, but only detects common iron nearby. Suddenly, Bee senses something approaching. Takaroo casts a detection spell and spots glowing eyes in the darkness. A swarm of demon spiders crawls out. Klay quickly pierces the first one with his spear, while Takaroo slows another with a time-slowing spell, allowing Brolite to tear it apart. She celebrates enthusiastically afterward. When they reach a lower floor, Takaroo senses a rare ore nearby, but there is a solid wall blocking the way. He asks Zambo for permission to dig, then blasts the wall apart with a volley of fireballs, revealing a huge vein of high-quality Ildrite ore. Takaroo is disappointed at first because it's not the Idra ore he was searching for, but Zambo shouts in disbelief, explaining that Ildrite is actually even more expensive. While scanning the area, Takaroo wonders if the ore develops so well because of the unique energies in the mines. Suddenly, Bee warns him again. Heavy footsteps echo toward them. Zambo panics. Demons have located their group. Takaroo steps forward and tells Klay and Brolite to stand back. When the creature finally appears, its massive crab-like body becomes visible. Takaroo and Bee immediately get excited because it means more delicious monster crab meat. That concludes episode 5. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next part, and go ahead and watch the next episode.